Hi. Nice to meet you. Oh. And Jamil's trying.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Come on up
Yep.
there if you don't mind.
Yeah, I better get out of the way.
Okay.
My name is Lonnie Brown. I live in Waterbury, Connecticut. I joined Toastmasters many years ago, and I'm still not a DTM because I've always worked more on the leadership and, in different ways as area governor when it was called governor instead of director, and division governor and host of a conference, and working with a gavel club in a prison, etc. So I'm excited to visit.
Lost the sound.
Did our mic
There
batteries
we-
die in the room?
I hope not. We lost the sound
In the room,
for
yeah.
sure. It looks like it's muted. see
I
a-
know it's been looking like that, but that's not.
Okay. We'll
I
give
think-
them a second. We'll give them a second. They're troubleshooting. See, Carla has the one finger up, so uno momento. I'm not sure what that was. Looks like she
She's
was.
replacing the batteries.
Oh, okay. I thought she was putting pepper on the salad. You know how when they grind the pepper on the salad, that's what I thought she was doing. Maybe not.
Can you guys hear us?
We can.
Okay.
But now you're hearing us through the owl?
Hearing both.
Yes.
You're hearing us in duplicate?
Not anymore.
Good now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Go for it.
Jamil, is there anything you wanted to say?
Hi. That's it. Keep
Okay.
it short and sweet. Thank you, Allison.
And everyone online, has it been there before? Do we have anyone who runs the next? Great. Or Lewis, have you joined us before?
I've joined a couple of times. I actually had surgery in early March, so I haven't been able to join for a couple weeks,
yes.
but looking
Remember,
forward to
yeah.
joining.
Hopefully
Coming
you're
forward.
healing well.
Thank you. Yeah, much better.
Good. Just want to let you know our theme today, which is exploration. I love this theme because I like themes that can mean so many different things, and they can mean different things to different people, but even within ourselves, we can look at it in many different ways. I think sometimes we did exploring as trying new things, trying new places, but I think we can even explore a lot of things within ourselves. One of my favorite ways to explore myself actually is when we're having an uncomfortable feeling coming up. I think a lot of this has come from like some meditation work I've done. But when you start feeling that uncomfortable feeling coming up, instead of pushing it away, actually sitting with it and exploring what is actually going on with our body just has given me so much more awareness. And so I really like exploring my body, even just besides exploring the world. However, I got to explore, have another exploration this past weekend. Travel to me is a way that always has really opened up my eyes to things. I just got back from Nashville late last night. I haven't been to Nashville before, but what's actually cool is when I haven't been there for like 7 years. When you go back to cities, they're different than they were, right? Than they even were a couple of years ago. And especially since COVID, I think you can really have seen cities change. And so I think that's what's always great about exploring. Even if you've seen one thing in the past, it's not going to necessarily be the same thing again. So we always should be willing and open to explore ourselves as well as the world around us. I'm going to just go over the different roles for today. If I say what role you're going to be doing, if you could just stand up and just give a brief description about what you will be taking part in today. First, I want to start with the grammarian, and that is the extent. And I'll give one word.
Okay, as for Marion, one of my roles is to select a word of the day. And as I thought about your theme, I looked at it lots of ways, like you suggested. I looked at it on a travel, kind of a travel sense, but also a kind of a internal exploration opportunity as well. Hi. And so our word of the day is wanderlust. Wanderlust, it's a German word, and it means to hike or roam about for pleasure or delight. So you could do that in a physical sense for sure, but you could also do that in an internal sense as well. So please try to use that word as often as you can. And the word is wanderlust. And also as grammarian, I will be looking at ums and ahs and my favorite word, so. And so I'll be looking at our use of all of those words that we use sometimes when we're stopping to think and we're trying to connect thoughts or sentences. So I'll be looking at that, I'll do my best to give everybody specific feedback, so you'll know exactly how you did in this area. And I'll also look for the word of the day being used, and I'll also look for just interesting phrases or words that our members might use during the meeting today. Thank you.
Timer, Carla? Yeah.
Actually, I don't know about y'all, but I'm shaking hands again.
Oh, yeah.
Well, hello to you online, hello to you in the room. As the timer today, I will be doing this role for the first time. It's the role I've avoided for 2 years almost, and I'm going to do it. But before I do it, I think we have a new guest, so I'd like to at least have you introduce yourself and tell us what you're here for.
Hi, I'm Chris. This is.
You want to come up?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
And immediately.
Not to put you on the spot,
That's okay.
just we're friendly here.
Do I use the mic as well?
It'll work. You don't need to use it.
Oh, it'll be fine, okay. I'm Chris. This is my fourth time going to Toastmasters. I did take a very long break, and I wanted to come back and basically, well, this is my first time in this Southpark branch, I guess. And I just wanted to see what it was like before, I guess, committing to it. So, which is why I kind of hit it in the back. So yeah, that's why I'm here. And so far I like it, so I'm probably gonna show up weekly.
Perfect. Well, nice to meet you, Chris.
Thank you for coming in.
Okay, so as the timer, I will be timing the speeches. We have 2 scheduled speeches for today. I will be putting up the green sign when it is 5 minutes, the yellow sign when it's 7 minutes, and the red sign when it is, 6 minutes yellow, and red means you're at the end. The importance of timing is one, we want to control how we're speaking, but all our speeches, but also when you're in a contest. If you're 30 seconds beyond the red, your speech isn't counted, and if you're before the green, your speech isn't counted. And then for the evaluations, green is 2 minutes, yellow is 2.5 minutes, and red is 3 minutes. Over table topics, which is when people get to come up and speak spontaneously, green is 1 minute, yellow is 1.5 minutes, and red is 2 minutes. And you'll have an opportunity to volunteer and do that if you like. Thank you.
The table topics match. I don't think Sonia's on here. I think, I should kind of finish that, right?
Okay.
So now the general evaluator, Valencia, let us know your role today.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Today, I'm serving as your general evaluator. For that role, I will call on my fellow roles of timer, grammarian, and evaluators, and also give feedback on our meeting from start to finish, what we did well, and maybe some areas of improvement if there are any. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you so much. Now we will bring up our Toastmaster for today. Debbie.
I don't have a joke today. Thank you very much, Carla. Clapping, thank you. And I looked at this theme and I had a few quotes that I want to share with you, and some are about travel. And travel is the only thing you buy that makes you richer. I thought that's a pretty good one. And then travel makes one modest. You see what a tiny place you occupy in the world. And Gustav Flaubert said that. There's another quick poem that I'll share with you, and this one is more, as Allison was speaking about some of the mental things that we go through as we explore. And this one is called Life Exploration, and it's portals of the heart, head, and soul open. Actually, Carla came up with this, but I thought it was really good. Guideposts of thoughts, feelings, senses, notice. Motion of stillness, pulse, and force, move. Journey of exploration, expansion, implosion, accept. Life be a birth to death exploration, breathe. Kind of fits with meditation and some of the things you talked about, Allison. And thank you, Carla, for finding that one. It was thought-provoking. So that's just some thoughts, words, and things to think about as we start on this meeting and get deeper into our theme. Thank you.
It doesn't look like Dr. Alice Ann is on, right? So we will jump then to our second speaker to go first. Maybe she'll join us. Danielle, you want to get started? Today, David will be your evaluator.
Great. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. This weekend in the Charlotte area, it was a nice day outside, particularly on Saturday. It was about 70 degrees, partly cloudy, a little bit of a breeze. It felt like spring. And earlier in the week, we've had a lot of rain off and on. And so by Saturday, the grass had gotten longer. So I already had it in my mind. I know what's going to happen on this particular day. It's going to be time to cut some grass. So I went to talk to my youngest of 5 children, 11-year-old boy named Jackson. So I walk into the room where he's sitting there watching YouTube videos with other people playing video games. So he wasn't actually playing video games. He was watching YouTube videos of other people playing video games. That still trips me out. I'm from the area where if you want to play the game, you actually play the game. Don't watch other people. But I tell him, listen, buddy, we have some grass to cut today. It's been raining all week. It's a nice day outside, and it's time to cut some grass. Now, I gave him the logical explanation. In my mind, this is how I knew it made sense to cut the grass. So I'm thinking in his 11-year-old mind, he can put it together. It's a nice day outside, grass is long, it's been raining, it should be cut. Much to my chagrin, this was not his response. His response was, why don't you cut the grass? Now, I know. After I took a few deep cleansing breaths and not strangled my son, I said, wait, I have to remember how to approach this. He's the youngest of 5, so I've done this multiple times over the past 20 years. So I said, I'll tell you what, you want to go get some ice cream later? Yeah. Okay, cool. First, let's go cut the grass, then we'll go get some ice cream. Okay. A couple hours later, the grass is cut. Then we go to Wendy's, we get a Frosty. Of course, I got to get one too. I can't just let him sit there and eat ice cream by himself. He would be lonely. What kind of father would I be by doing that? So we enjoy the ice cream. I come home to a nice cut lawn. We both benefit in this situation. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters and guests, I have another project that I would like to share with you about motivating other people. Just recently, a few months ago, we had this thing called an open house. Now, maybe some of you have heard of this before, maybe you haven't, but this open house is this particular project that Toastmasters encourages each of its clubs, not just our club, but each of the clubs, to give people an opportunity to learn more about Toastmasters and possibly go ahead and join the club and begin their speaking or leadership, whatever it is that they're looking to do and to get better on. The thing about an open house is you can't just do it by yourself. You need other people to help join in to help you pull off this open house. And so the opportunity presented itself, and it was the opportunity for a few of our newer officers and a few of our seasoned veterans to come together for this common goal. And it was my objective as the Toastmaster Club president is to rally the troops, to motivate this group of people. Now, although everybody's willingness to volunteer is there, we don't have any disgruntled people who are like, this is stupid. I don't want to do an open house. Let's just leave things the way they are. Fortunately, I don't have officers that give me that type of attitude, fortunately. But you may be in a work environment, you may be in a church environment, you may be in a home environment with your own 11-year-old that don't want to cut the grass. And you have to find a way to motivate others. So in this particular project, it's similar to any other project or any other goal, if you will, when it comes to motivating people. First of all, you have to decide what it is that you want to do. The more vague you are, the more confusing people will be. So simplicity is powerful. So the first thing we had to do is establish what it is that we need to do. We need to do this thing called an open house. What does that mean? Does that mean we're going to go to somebody's house? Does that mean people are going to come to our house? I'm not that comfortable with you guys. It's okay at the library and it's okay at Zoom, but I'm not sure if I want y'all at my house. These are some of the thoughts that people might have going across their mind. So what is an open house? So we had to strip it down and understand what exactly it is. And again, it's an opportunity for people to learn more about Toastmasters and to also get involved in a service capacity. So we established the goal, right? We established the timeline, then we started to delegate who's going to do what type of things happen at an open house. Some of the things were simple things, simple but important, like food. A lot of people want to eat, and just about any gathering that you get to, especially if it's a social or informal gathering, people want to eat. So we delegated the responsibilities of the food. And then the last part of it was the communication, making sure everybody knows that this is happening. Because if you don't tell people, they're not going to know. People are not that good at reading minds. So then we got everything delegated out, and then it's time for execution. So with any plan, you have to go ahead and follow through on the details. The food actually has to be picked up. It actually has to be delivered. It actually has to be set out in some type of organizational way. And I was so proud to see our team come together and everybody embrace their opportunities, the communications that went out, the opportunities for guest speakers. These things were just happening, and there was synchronicity. And so as I close these two simple examples, I want you guys to remember this. Whether you're trying to motivate somebody at work, whether you're trying to motivate a spouse, whether you're trying to motivate yourself, you have to keep in mind that people want to know what's in it for me. What am I going to get out of this? It's human nature for us to be somewhat selfish. So we want to know what's in it for me. Similar to my son's ice cream situation, he wanted that ice cream. He didn't want to cut the grass, but he knew that was the end goal. If I want to get this ice cream, I'll do this task. So when you're doing whatever project that you have established, establish the goal, delegate the responsibilities, but as you're doing it, the first question you want to ask yourself is, what can I offer these other people to get them to partner with me to accomplish this task? And by doing this, this is one of the major steps in succeeding in this goal. And that, I'll bring it to a close and turn it back over to you, Madam Toastmaster. Thank you. Clapping for myself, because I'm somewhere around 7 minutes.
Thank you so much, Neil. We are going to have one speaker today. At this point, we are going to now jump into table topics.
I was just gonna say, if we have time, I have copies.
Oh, then absolutely, bring it on up. Yep, we know Andy's your evaluator. Great.
Debating whether to sign up. and I
Well,
thought,
worked out.
we don't
There
need
you go.
to squeeze in
Yep.
3.
Will you, please, tell me. Note it down, please.
My pathway is the dynamic leadership, I believe is the name of it. And I'm gonna see if the L follows me here.
Oh.
Come on, Al. Okay, he's not coming with.
It finally did. A little bit of a delay, so just go ahead and start talking, Jeremy, and it'll catch up with you. There you go.
All right. Baby, we were born to run. Or were we? We were, I promise you, we were born to run. That's what we evolved to do. Human beings, Homo sapiens, we hunted in packs. We ran for long distances. That's what we were able to do. The other mammals weren't able to do. We chased woolly mammoths until they fell off cliffs. We chased them until they ran up into a cliff. We could throw rocks down on them. We hunted together in that way. We have the ability to breathe the way that those bigger mammals don't. So we could just run for a long distance until their hearts literally exploded and they just died so that we could eat. We were born to run. Does that mean that everybody can get up and go run today? Unfortunately, it doesn't, because we've lost that ability. So I started running in junior high, running cross country. And it was the easy thing to do to put on your college resume and say that you're doing something. And I had other family members who ran a lot. And I enjoyed it for the most part, but I got horrible shin splints. And I just thought, well, I have weak ankles, I don't have a good arch in my foot. And so, I just wasn't meant to run. And so after high school was over, I stopped. I didn't run throughout college. Got to law school and I realized I've got to have something to de-stress, something to keep me active, something else to do other than stressing about, what I need to do in my classes, those sorts of things. So I picked up running again. And I started training for a half marathon and was progressing nicely. And once again, not this time, not shin splints, this time knee pain, all sorts of knee pain. And so I went down this road of buying the most manufactured shoe for low arches. I went to the orthopedist and got specially made inserts, and that helped for a while. I didn't have any knee pain. Instead, now I had, the inside of my foot getting torn up by the orthotics from where my arches were rolling into them. But I was able to run. I was able to do the half marathon. Went on to do a full marathon. Again, was able to complete it without too much pain. But then I heard about barefoot running. And I was like, oh, well, this is interesting. Let me check into this. And I totally went full on to the barefoot running bandwagon. I got my barefoot running shoes and I started running barefoot. For any of you that don't know, barefoot running shoe, you're not actually running barefoot, but it doesn't have the cushioning in the heel. It's literally just like a tire under your foot. So it forces you to run as if you were running barefoot. And here's the cool thing that sold me on barefoot running is this idea that the way we were naturally meant to run is that our foot, we land on the ball of our foot. That's the goal. If you have a big cushiony shoe, it encourages you to put your foot out in front of you and land on the heel because you have all that cushion. Well, every time you do that, not only are you stopping your forward momentum and slowing yourself down, but you're causing a huge shockwave all the way up your body. And so that's where the shin splints were coming from. That's where that knee pain's coming from.
If you're landing on this, you're literally just falling, right? And you're landing on your feet the way that you're supposed to. Now, what happened about 5-10 years after the barefoot running craze? All the barefoot running shoe companies got sued because people don't have the muscles in their feet or their ankles to just go out and run barefoot for, a mile, 3 miles, 5 miles, whatever you're doing. And this goes back to the whole idea that we have lost that ability. Because we sit at desks all day long. We don't walk around barefoot most of the day. We don't have those tiny little muscles in our feet that make such a huge difference. We don't know how to connect our bodies from toes to our shoulders, everything. It all goes into running. And so we literally have to retrain ourselves. And I've probably spent every moment since having shin splints in junior high until the current moment, relearning how to run. After I started the barefoot running thing, I, in fact, myself got, really bad plantar fasciitis. So the muscles, the tendons, everything in the bottom of my foot, all those tissues, they were tearing every time I ran because the strength just wasn't there. And so I had to take a step back and literally relearn how to run, start strengthening those little muscles in my feet, start, every time I'm sitting around the house barefoot and trying to see, can I lift my big toe and keep my other toes on the floor, or keep my big toe on the floor and lift my other toes up. Those are things that we should be able to do, but if you try it, probably most of us can't do that. So I have relearned how to run. I stumbled upon something at one point that made me realize most of running isn't about your legs, it's about your core. Where does all that motion come from? Literally, it's a chain from here to here that propels each leg forward. Again, something that we all have to learn. So were we all born to run? Yes, we all have that ability, but you've got to work on it. The idea of doing a couch to 5K is a great idea. I love seeing anybody get up and be active in any way, but we've got to be smarter about it. Otherwise, you're going to do your 5K and then you're going to be injured and you're going to say, this is dumb. I wasn't meant to run, but you were. You just have to have the right training for it. Thanks.
Thanks, Jeremy. For now, go into our table topics. So we will bring out Carla to help us out today. After filling in.
I'm filling in because Sonia was unable to come today. She would have normally done this. So welcome everybody to table topics. I'll re-explain. Talk 1.5 to 2 minutes, somewhere in that range. 1 minimum. 2 is you've gone over time with 30 seconds to wrap up. The whole point of table topics is to give you an opportunity to have a wanderlust all the way up here. I don't know what's a fair way to use it. And to practice speaking and to just try it. You can't go wrong. We're all friendly here. And so what I will do is I'm going to ask for my first volunteer. For those who maybe haven't seen this before, maybe an experienced person, either online, who's going to be raising their hand, or in person. Have a volunteer. Yay, Andy, come on up. And I'm asking you to take a number, and I should say that Allison's going to be the timer while this is going on, so she'll be doing that. I'm going to ask you to pick the number 1 to 5. One of them. Okay, well, I'll do half of it before. If you could no longer have wanderlust, you could only stay in exactly one place for the remainder of your life. And keep in mind, my mom's over 100, so you got a ways to go, right? It's only one place. Tell us about the place in one. Back over to you, Lindsay.
Thank you, Madam Toastmasters Master. I suppose if I could only be in one place and must sacrifice my wanderlust, then that place would be lovely Charlotte, North Carolina. As an 8th generation native born Charlottean, yes, I know, take a good look, you might never see another one. You would be surprised to find out that despite growing up here, despite all the change, all of our, new friends from up north, who we welcome with open arms, I still love Charlotte very much. I live over in the old Providence area, and my wife and I often talk about whether or not it makes sense for us to move somewhere else, just because we've got young kids, and are they at an age where we could move somewhere, maybe somewhere closer to water. She grew up in Jacksonville, Florida. I have other family in Florida, and so we wondered if it makes sense to, move further south, get that sunny sky and closer to the water lifestyle. However, we do live a walking distance to the neighborhood pool. We do live a walking distance to the lodge, a Sportsman's Grill, for those of you that are unfamiliar, and a host of other great local restaurants. So I have to say that if I had only one place to be, I'm probably going to play it safe, stick in the Twin Cities. Thank you.
I come from the other side. I'm just arrived from Charlotte about right before COVID, and so I'm new here and I'm really enjoying it. I was born in Washington DC. You can look at an actual Washingtonian here, an actual Charlottean. All right, who is my next volunteer? This is a great question. All right, I'm going for the voluntold then. Would you like to voluntold?
Lewis
Okay.
has his hand up.
David. Join this club that has to be named David, that's what I'm saying. All right, so David, pick a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2. All right, so this is not an external exploration, this is an internal exploration. So look inside of yourself and tell us, where do you spend most of your time? With your heart, with your body, with your soul? Where is it that you make your decisions from, and what part of you really dominates that? Not an easy question, I recognize.
Thank you for the question, fellow Toastmasters. So the question is, where does my decision making come from? Where does my thinking come from? Internally or from the heart? And I would say that I do have a tendency to probably be fairly have a segment that is fairly impulsive in my thinking, to where I think about this. When I think about this, I'm impulsive. So I think there's an element of. All right, let me come at this from a different angle here. When I'm working, there is a lot of analytical thinking. So I'm a programmer, and so that's one thing. There's a lot of analysis in my day, a lot of logical thinking, trying to get through engineering problems. So that's one aspect. That's one thing where I take a lot of my thinking from. Yeah, this is helpful. I think that's all I got on this. That's,
That was really good. Is that your first time? I wasn't here the other time. Great job. Thank you very much.
Carla,
Thank you.
Lewis has his hand raised. Carla,
Do that?
Lewis on the call.
Okay. Hi, Lois. Thank you.
Hello.
And I think I'm gonna call on, just prepare you, Tim. I think I'll call on you because your pink shirt is standing out. So that'll be next. So Lewis, you have numbers 1, 3, and 5 available.
I'll do number one.
Number one. Where were you born to run? Where were you born to run? And I did not know that there was some people running.
Thank you for the question, Carla. So the question is, where was I born to run? Funny enough, I actually competed in my first marathon last year in Charlotte and was able to complete it. However, that is not where I would say I would be born to run. After college, one of my good friends moved to San Diego, California, and I have visited him several times over the past couple of years. And for those of you who haven't been to San Diego or to California, it is a beautiful area with incredible weather year round. Being someone who enjoys the warmer weather more than the cold, I would love to be able to run in the San Diego area because, like I said, you really don't ever get any bad weather. It rarely ever rains. And in San Diego, you can be at the beach and 10 minutes away is the mountains with beautiful trails and beautiful scenery. So if there was one place that I would like to run, it would be, I'd be born to run, it would be San Diego, California. Thank you.
Well, I may seem spoiled, but my sister lives in San Diego, so I go there every year. I had a miss during COVID time. And I will just tell you, they call it May gray and June gloom, but otherwise it's fantastic year-round. So hope you get to go there more. Thank you. And now, I believe, Tim, I volunteered you. Are you good to go?
Okay.
Good. Nice to see you again. All right. With all that enthusiasm, we have 3 and 5 left.
Middle of the road, 3.
Okay. Okay, just trying to read my handwriting in just a second. Okay, this is a great one. In exploring food, what sense is most dominant to you? When you see it, when you smell it, when you taste it, and then tell us about some of your favorite foods.
That's a very good question. Growing up as a child, I didn't venture out on much food. It was meat and potatoes and meat and potatoes. Since I got older, I started seeing other opportunities out there because I smelled food and I took the gamble to taste food. So the 2 senses, I would probably say taste over the smell. I have ventured out into the vegetable world more. So I like to explore into the spinach family now, the broccoli family, and using other additives. So again, exploring the taste of foods that I never used to like or thought I didn't like until I actually tasted them. I use it all the time now. And probably the biggest one that I use every day, I just had my lunch before the meeting, a nice salad, and I put a nice beefsteak tomato in it that I would never, ever, ever, ever have a tomato in my life up until about 3 years ago when I went on a diet. And that was part of the diet. When I had tasted one, like, geez, I missed this for 57 years. Yeah, using my taste is what I think is I explore the most.
Thank you. Do I have time for one more to wrap up the last one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Oh, great, Lonnie, come on up. Lonnie is new and visiting new to us and visiting but has experience. Okay. Your wanderlust is being confined to one of four things. You can go cave exploring, archaeological dig exploring, space exploring, or ocean exploring. Pick one and tell us why.
Right away, I picked the cave exploring. And the reason I do not pick the ocean exploring, although I grew up in Southern California, I still don't know how to swim, which people don't understand when I moved to Connecticut. I also don't pick the space. I would be afraid of never returning, of whatever I travel up into space, it would be lost or destroyed. And I'm not sure about the second of the four choices, but the cave, oh yeah, I figured the digging, what you explained, I figured that would be as interesting as a cave. Now, I know you go deep into a cave, it's pitch black, and there would be the fear of it caving in or you can't get out, but that's still what I would select, especially as long as I have a flashlight or some strong light that I could be confident it's going to work the entire time. Actually, I would have a backup. I'd have two. You have to, when you jump out of a plane, which I don't dare do, I'd have a heart attack on the way down. You have a second parachute, so I'd have a second flashlight, and I would not do it alone. I would make sure there's at least one other person with me, preferably two. This is when the more the merrier. And I would just continually remind myself that I am curious what I'll discover. That's the adventure of life. And when you do the wanderlust, is it wanderlust or wanderlost? I'm not sure what it's like. It doesn't matter, but exploring is something always of interest to me. And I have never done it. I've never gone into a cave to explore. Maybe I should put it on my bucket list. But one last thing I'll say is actually on any vacation, any trip, as you realize, I love to explore Toastmaster clubs, but also while I'm on the road, I'm exploring, I'm looking for a bakery where they all close early in the day. I'm looking for a mom and pop's diner, a little restaurant, eatery, and none of that so far with the rental vehicle I have. Resort to Waffle House. I thought, well, it's not in Connecticut, but the quality is not so good. But back to the cave exploring. Oh, that's I was forgetting to, yes, the cave exploring.
And if you need a place, I recommend for a cave, fully lit, a great walk, go to Lorraine Tavern, it's a good starter cave. With that, I will turn it back over to Madam President.
Thank you for those great topics. We are now going to go to our general evaluation portion of the meeting. With that, I will pass it over to Valencia.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. At this point in our meeting, we have covered several things. We've had our prepared speeches. We've had our impromptu speaking, which was covered in table topics. And now we will have a very important part of our meeting, the evaluation of our prepared speaker. I don't think we had an evaluator for our pocket speech, but we do have one for our prepared speaker, Jamil's speech.
Yeah, Andy did the podcast, so we have both, yeah.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, that base is covered. We will call David to come and give us feedback for Jamil's speech.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. I sat in the back today, I always sit in the front, and I had to maneuver through tables and chairs. I felt like I was on a wanderlust. All right, Jamil, thank you for your speech. Cover the basics to start off. You had good hand gestures, even though you're on Zoom, you're still able to keep it in there. Good vocal variety, facial expression, and your pauses, especially when your son suggested that you mow the lawn. That was a nice long pause. And you drew us in at the very beginning of your speech with current events, the weather that we can all relate to, and the grass growing, as my grass is very high right now. And then you got relatable. many of us have kids or grandkids. You talked about how you want your 11-year-old to mow the lawn, and instead he's sitting there watching YouTube of other people's playing games. I have a 9-year-old grandson, and for some reason he watches YouTube of other people playing games. And my daughter and I just talked this weekend about getting him to mow the lawn as well, at 9 years old. Storytelling, you're a great storyteller, especially about negotiating tactics with an 11-year-old. And then you brought humor into your speech, indicating that you had to have a frosty as well. You didn't want them to eat alone. Now, room for improvement, you kind of went from that story to the open house, which was a little confusing, at least to me, as to the transition. Now, you did tie them together at the end of the story, but as Zig Ziglar says about the 3 steps of speeches, tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. And finally, you spoke of my favorite subject, Toastmasters and open houses. You encourage members and officers to be a part of it, to keep on sharing your stories and inspiring us all. Madam General Evaluator.
Great. Thank you, David.
Thank you, David. Andy, are you ready to give feedback for Jeremy's speech?
You better believe it. Let's
All
do this
right,
thing.
I'm believing it.
Jeremy, you crushed it. I think you did a fantastic job. It's a topic that I'm very intrigued by. I don't actually run, despite this, stunning physique. I did run in high school as well. I went to a very small Christian private school, and there were like 5 people on the running team. We did 3 meets, and somehow with a PR of 24 minutes, 27 seconds, which is terrible, I claimed the MVP title. So again, very good topic for me personally. So I loved you sharing about kind of the problem, and that really drew me in that, running is important. You kind of teased us a little bit with this Born to Run, like where's it going to take this? Again, I pulled you aside briefly to say there's a book by the same title that I read, again, haven't run since, but the book really drew me in. And it talked about this, I guess, tribe in Mexico, the Mexican Canyons, that would run like 100 miles, barefoot, basically, with they would get some tires and strap them to the bottom of their feet. And so that intrigued me, and I bought some like super hippy dippy sandals that my wife hates because of that book. So that was intriguing to hear you kind of unpack some of that. So a lot of that's working for you, a lot of you kind of reduced injuries. I think overall, I know I'm just like ripping over here, but I think it was super informative. I like that you shared, even just like touching like, my knee, and making it very visual, visceral, like I'm hearing you talk about your toes and wondering if I can do the same toe exercise and lift my toes in the same way. I'll probably try that at some later. So just the progression of it, I think was very good. Just again, starting with the pain points and then ending with a solution. It was very relatable, even talking about how, you're stressed out of obstacle and needing an outlet for that. Like I would lift weights, and that's my stress outlet. So that makes a ton of sense to me. So anyway, loved it. I would say the only feedback, if I had any, which the grammarian might, be annoyed at me for saying this, but did catch a few and so's here and there. But other than that, I felt like you're very confident, knowledgeable, and it was a great speech overall. So welcome.
Here I am over here making my notes. I would love to hear our report from our timer at this time. Come on up, Carla, once again.
Thank you very much. Good to see everybody again. All right. Almost a perfect timing day. Jamil, you were 7 minutes and 37 seconds. I'm gonna say my clock was off, it was really 7:30 you made it. Jeremy, you were 6 minutes and 48 seconds, we're contest ready. As far as the table topics go, Andy, 1 minute and 17 seconds. David, 1 minute and 37 seconds. Who was next? It's 1 minute and 27 seconds. Who was next? I can't read them. Lewis was 1 minute and 27 seconds. Tim was 1 minute and 30 seconds, and Lonnie, you were 2 minutes and 34 seconds.
Oh, I went
Just went
over.
right.
Shameful, all the years.
And as far as our, but excellent, everybody excellent. And as far as our evaluators, David, 2 minutes exactly. And Andy, 2 minutes and 4 seconds. So excellent timing for everybody. Thank you. And thank you also for helping me do that.
Thank you, Carla. Time is so important to what we do as Toastmasters, making sure that we stay within time. It contributes to the flow of our meeting. I would like to now call on our grammarian for your report. Debbie, if you would come to the lectern.
Great, thank you. Wanderlust, our word of the day, was used by Carla 3 times, Andy once, Lonnie once, and then David once. So that's awesome to hear a word at the beginning of the hour and then get it into your language, which I find it challenging. In terms of listening to the connector words, the ands and ohs and so's, those types of things. Carla, I heard 1. Allison, 2. So far, I have not heard any. You're really good at speaking with not filling in with fillers. Valencia, have not heard any. Jamil, I think in terms of speaking for 7 minutes, I believe I heard 3, and your connector word of choice is so, and so. So you're consistent, and I just did it too. But for 7 minutes, that's pretty darn good. He also used some interesting words, synchronicity and execution of plan and what's in it for me. So we had some phrases that were thought-provoking and really fit in well with his topic. Andy, you had 2 opportunities to speak. And overall, I think when you spoke to us first, I heard a no and a so, only 2 occurrences. Then the second time that you spoke, I heard so anyway, but not many. Overall, the group does really well. David, you were thinking a lot during your table topic. And whenever we think, that's the time when those words escalate. But we have all done it, so just get back on the saddle and try again. But when we're thinking, that's when those connector things show up. Louis, I heard a and a so. Tim, I did not hear any, so that was awesome. Lonnie, your word of choice is and. I believe I heard that 3 times. Thanks. Jeremy used the word wanderlust and connector words. During that 7-minute time, I heard an and so. So not many for a 7-minute time period. David only heard 1, and that was but. And that, I just did it. And that is where I left off with listening carefully to everybody and trying to give everybody specific feedback. So thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Fellow Toastmasters, friends, honored guests, I am so thankful to be here with you today. I'm not in the room present, but I am present with you, and I appreciate every time that I'm with you. First, let me say that I want to give a big round of applause for everyone who served in a role that was new to them today. If you served in a role that you hadn't done before, you challenged yourself and did something different. So thank you for that. The value in that is something that you not only get from Toastmasters, but that you give to Toastmasters. We love to see how you do it, how you serve as grammarian, how you serve as timer, when you do that speech, when you have that pocket speech, Jeremy, whoop, whoop. We're all told that we should have a pocket speech ready to go just in case something happens in the flow of our meeting where someone needs to step in. Thank you for doing that today. Just want to let all of you know how much I appreciate that, how we all appreciate that for our Southpark Toastmasters. We started on time today, just about. We had a little technical issue with the microphone, and I'm going to invest in some batteries so that we always have them available I think we have to change them really often. David warned us about that, but I wasn't thinking about it personally. I think we need to have those on hand so that we don't have that as an issue. Technically, though, everything was working. The owl kind of moved towards people. It's getting to know us a little bit better as a club, maybe, as our silent member. But we are grateful that our technology is working well, both on Zoom and in the room. I want to give a little advice to you all who are parents or grandparents who have children who watch video games instead of play them. Let me tell you something. When I was playing Mario, I would love to have those to let me know all the secrets in the game. There's people who sit for hours and play these games and give them the tricks of the trade. Don't knock it. It's a benefit to your kids to do that. And Jeremy, that couch to 5K, I'm gonna tell you, I offended somebody by bringing this up the other day. So people need to know what that is. They hear couch and think, what are you trying to say? Interesting, but thank you for that. I love how we're doing these elbow bumps to transition speakers and everybody. Usually we do the handshakes, but somebody started the elbow bump. I think that works just as well, especially with the times we're in. Our theme today was exploration. It's very important for us to have a theme. It just brings out the enjoyment in our meeting. And I love to hear all the ways that we explore. The value in each of your experiences touched me today and is giving me energy for the rest of my week because we start this meeting on Mondays and it's awesome. For our two evaluators, one thing that stood out to me with both of you is how you connected with the speaker. And in your feedback, you talked about what they said in their speeches that connected with you. You each gave a little bit of room for improvement. And I want to give extra kudos to Andy, who is a new evaluator, who's given suggestions about resources, reading outside of class. This teacher's pet loves that. And I love how you both give encouragement and things to work on in future speeches. Overall, we had an awesome meeting again, once again, Southpark, and you've done your thing and we will end on time. So I will turn it back over to our Toastmaster of the day who may give words or turn it over to our president.
Thank you so much, General Evaluator. That was really nice, thorough. And I want to thank everyone today. We had a lot of people jump into roles that weren't exactly in. I really appreciate that fluidity today. Just before I pass it back over to Jamil, we have two new people that it's actually been great because you have been to a Toastmasters before, but not to this one. Do you have any feedback, any thoughts, Chris or Lonnie, that you'd like to?
No, good.
I'm impressed with how you start on time. It's so important in my opinion. And you're journeying on time as long as I can breathe here at the moment. Yeah, and you're very organized and, you know, to have the two speeches is very commendable and more as an advanced member to have a pocket speech. It's best, I think, for everyone to prepare to be able to cover any role at any meeting they're at. And I'm working on it right now. So I really enjoyed this hour.
Thank you so much. And to finish off, I'll pass it back to our president, just to close it out.
Great. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you again for our visitors who were able to stop by and join us. I will encourage you to leave your information if you haven't already. Jot it down on the sign-in form so I can follow up with membership information. And for our members who have already joined the club, I want to encourage you to go ahead and jump right into speaking. Go ahead and go into the Pathways portal, find your icebreaker speech or whatever your next speech is, and don't feel like you have to have it all perfect and all dialed in. This particular speech, I did not have it all dialed in, but I had an idea on what I want to talk about. Obviously, we're all still work in progress because I went over on my time. After doing this for 12 years, there's still room for improvement. So with that, it is 1 o'clock. I want you all to have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you guys again next week. Talk to y'all later. Bye.
Thank you all for calling.